Happy Saturday, everybody. All right. So I just posted the next video here, kind of a last minute thing. I was trying to get it up earlier this week, but I just wasn't able to get the edit done fast enough. Had a couple other things come up, but I decided to post it here right before the video. So it's actually premiering on YouTube right now. So it's actually playing through. So some of you might be watching that. If you want to jump over to the stream, or just if you're here, we'll go ahead and get started. So I know a few people had some questions over the week that I'll address. I'm going to wait a little bit and then we can talk about that stuff. And for now, I'm just going to kind of play a little bit here, kind of get warmed up, get my voice warmed up a little bit. I had a gig last night at a place called Narragansett Cafe down in Jamestown, Rhode Island. A um, little island in between the two the mainlands, or between the peninsula, Newport Island, and then the mainland, which is what, South County. Well, they call it South County. So, and then there's the Jamestown Bridge. Little quaint little town. Nice over there. Narragansett Cafe. People seem to like us over there. It's always fun. Nice big room. Good stage. Should be working. Yeah. Had a little trouble with that orange guitar last time. I don't know what was going on, but I played it last night. It seemed to be working okay. Definitely doesn't have the output that this one does. I went through all three of them last night and kept the amp the same, and I usually end up setting it pretty much the same every time. I got the presence cranked to 10, and then the treble is about 8. Sometimes it goes to 10, um, depending on the room. Sometimes if it's really dead, it's a really dead room. There's a lot of carpet everywhere for some reason, or it's just not cutting through. You can crank that treble a little bit, and that'll allow the guitar to cut through the mix of the band without having to crank your amplifier. And especially if you're playing with another guitar player, you can get into loudness wars where one guy goes over to one, pick it up a little bit, the other guy will pick it up a little bit more, and you just keep climbing. Before you know it, you're at 11. The But yeah, and then the volume, I usually put it like in between 4 and 5, something like that. That seems to work. There's no master and gain like on modern amps. It's just volume, which is easy. Makes it it makes it a lot easier. Um, I don't really use the bass channel. I've never I I did try it recently, and it's much hotter than the regular normal channel. Morning. How you doing? Yeah, I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit. Oh yeah. Should be coming through all right. Getting over the flu. Oh, yeah. I was there about couple months ago. No fun. And then I had a little reprieve for about 2 weeks, and then got it again for another week. It was shorter the second time, and yeah, it's awful. It's been going around this year like crazy. Let's see. Yeah. What else I got to chat about here? I'm just kind of running out the. I had that other video premiere. I think the video, when it premieres, it counts down 2 minutes, but it doesn't actually start at 4. It starts like 4:02, and then it goes. Yeah, I did 20 Flight Rock. That was a request by you guys. And the next one was a request from a while ago, the Rockabilly Boogie by Johnny Burnett. And that one, I just got to write the tablature out for that and kind of go over the solos, make sure I'm getting those right or as close as I can. Again, a lot of this stuff is just getting the feel of it, getting the the techniques down within the genre, and being able to apply that globally with whatever you play, as opposed to trying to play this stuff note for note. I mean, you can play this stuff note for note, but as I've mentioned before, is that when you're playing in a different band, if the drummer is not playing it exactly, and some of this stuff didn't have a drummer, like That's All Right Mama, 20 Flight Rock, this kind of, it's not really a drummer on it. He's playing some sort of a, I forget, I did read about it. It was something, it's not really a drum that he's playing on it, but a lot of that stuff just didn't have a full drum kit in the way that we think about it today. So then when you have a drummer playing with you, as you usually would, depending on how they play, is going to change the feel of the tune. So you're going to have to kind of acclimate to that. And then sometimes those exact nuances and feels and tempos and everything else of all of these tunes, they don't work, and you have to adapt. And then over time, your band's going to change and play the song completely differently from what you did when you first started it. And you think, oh, we're playing it accurately, and you go back and listen. Oh, totally different. Yeah, just kind of hanging out on a lazy Saturday here for me. What was I going to say? I was a couple things I had written down. I was going to talk about on some of this. Oh, and another video that I'm going to be working on is that I haven't touched on yet is and one of is excuse me, one of the $1 Million Quartet members, Carl Perkins, doesn't really get mentioned enough. At least to me, we always hear about Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee, Elvis, but even though Carl Perkins contributed immensely, I mean he wrote Blue Suede Shoes, Honey Don't, of course many others, Bop and the Blues, and I think I'll do, everybody does Blue Suede Shoes, but I think I'll do probably Honey Don't. Um, Try to find a balance between something that's known but not too A side, too well known, but known enough that you recognize. And of course, the Beatles covered Honey Don't, so that works. And it's more interesting than there's more to talk about there than what's the other one? Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby that they covered, which is just a standard, kind of 1 4 5 and E. Anyway, let's see. So someone had asked about a little bit about my background and how somebody from Rhode Island could get into rockabilly. Well, I'm not originally from Rhode Island. I'm originally from Florida, and I lived there for about till I was 25. Moved to Brooklyn and lived in Williamsburg for about a year or more, and then moved up to Rhode Island with my um, now wife. We met in New York, and she's from Rhode Island. So when things weren't really working out, I worked at a place called Rudy's Music Stop in New York, Broadway. It was on Broadway in 47th, I think, Music Row, where Sam Ash Music, what's the other one? Manny's Music, I think is what it's called. Anyway, I used to work in the the repair shop. Yeah, I used to work in the repair shop up on the third floor or whatever, and then they had a drum shop down the next floor where they had Gretsch drums. Actually, Fred Gretsch came in there a couple times, and we got to kind of hang out and was mostly talking about drums, but I talked a little bit about guitars. And then I, moving to Rhode Island. Then, of course, they kind of downsized, moved to I want to say they moved to Soho for a little while. Ultimately, they went out of business, and I got another job, paying the bills at Circuit City, and we all know what happened to them too. So that was the end of that. And so I said, I'm just gonna the hustle and bustle of New York. As much as I love it, it kind of became too much, and just like doing something like this, for example, is just very, very difficult to have enough space to be able to film videos and that sort of thing. Of course, back then, um, the technology, YouTube was really, really new, and the technology to effectively edit videos in the way we can today was almost impossible unless you had a studio and high end gear and everything. So anyway, I got into rockabilly when I was about 18, so something like that. Um, so I started playing guitar. Of course, the Beatles got me into playing guitar. Heard the Beatles. Oh, I want to learn how to play these songs, and I loved the sound. Of course, Harrison playing a Gretsch in the early days, and then I just natural progression of everybody that plays guitar. You go take guitar lessons. Everybody teaches you Hendrix, Zeppelin, and all that stuff. So I had my Zeppelin phase, and then I started trying to listen to the modern music of the time, which at that time would have been the '90s. So it would have been Third Eye Blind, Matchbox 20, that sort of stuff. I just really I couldn't really get into it, and also having grown up listened to oldies radio stations, 50s radio stations, uh, 50s, 60s, some 70s. I said, what were the influences of the bands that I'm listening to? The Beatles, the Zeppelin. Of course, you find out it's rockabilly. Eddie Cochran, Gene Vincent, Elvis, and like I'd already, I was like, I know all this stuff. I remember listening to Bill Haley when I was a kid, and then somebody introduced me to the Stray Cats, and I said, oh wow, so this is kind of a more a newer band, not newer at the time, but they were only 15 years. They At the time, the Stray Cats were, I think Setzer was doing his orchestra thing. He had just the Dirty Boogie had just come out. Um, this was like 98, 99, and I said, oh, okay, well this is great. This is you know rock rock and roll, rockabilly, and swing, and all of this stuff rolled into one. And I wanted to play music, of course. I liked playing lead guitar stuff, and that was the one thing that I had a problem with modern music. And still, there's no guitar solos anymore. What happened to all the or any today? There's not even anything. There's no solo for any instrument. Um, so yeah, that's where I basically came from, and then just started hammering away out of school, living with my parents, not really much to do. I just played for about 2 solid years at 5, 6, sometimes 9 hours a day, just cranking and learning how to play. And then trying to start my own band didn't really work. Joined another local band, and within 2 to 3 years of picking up the guitar, I was playing at House of Blues and Hard Rock Live and places like that, which is, growing up in Orlando, that's like right there, Disney, Disney and Universal. So yeah, that's kind of a basic background for me and how I got into it. It's just kind of a natural. to me, it was very natural, just looking for a genre of music that could still be relevant and be played today that I could play guitar solos on. And then when I started really learning how to swing and play the swing solos as opposed to just, playing straight eights all the time, where you can do all the, it's so much fun. I know it's not for everybody, but I love stuff like that. Oh, what is the other, so another question? Oh, yeah, somebody asked if I had ever tried to do a session, be a session musician down in Nashville. And I've never really tried. I thought about it, but I would have no idea how to even go about something like that. And I mean, I'm okay as a player, but I've been to Nashville and I've seen the players down there. They're monsters. They're incredible. Um, you just go into any bar down there on Broadway, and you'll probably see a rockabilly band if you're there for a week. And they're insane. They play all the time, so they're just chicken picking stuff. The rockabilly, the country. That's what they do. They're there for. Some of them are there for at least they play 4 hours, and then a band will change, and then it'll be another 4 hours, and it's crazy. And then they might just go right from one gig to another. And you play that much, you know, you're gonna get good. But yeah, I never really thought about doing it. I would have no idea where to go from there. Um, let's see what else. I'll talk a little bit about the video that I just did. I did a 20 Flight Rock again, requested by you guys, and the 20 Flight Rock's a fairly simple, straight ahead tune, 1-4-5 in A. It's hard to really hear whether it sounds like the first time he goes around on that verse, like I was saying in the video, that he's doing something like that, and then later it seems to switch. The tempo kind of jumps up when they go to the chorus, and then stays up for the solo, kind of speeds up a little bit even in the solo, and then drops back down for the verse and the ending. And yeah, the only real tricks to it is it ends on a seventh, which is unusual. A lot of songs back then, they would just end on either just a major or a 9, or you get the 6-9 thing, something like that. So the 7 is a little bit different, but nothing too crazy. And you can play it. You can play it like this. I think it's easier to just play it down there because you're right there, as opposed to trying to go way up here. I don't really know. It looks like he's playing it down here. At least, I mean, the only video I could find was the one from The Girl Can't Help It. So that was my only reference for as far as visually, and it's overdubbed anyway. So really, exact 1-to-1 of what he's actually playing. But then there's the solo, and a lot of people will. Everybody that I've ever heard play the song live, local bands, mainstream, whatever, they'll always kind of start off with that whatever. And some people will do this. I've heard that before. Just depending on whatever. It's all improvisation, and do whatever you want. That's usually what I end up doing, and then I'll do something on the D either, or one of those little tricks. That's just sliding up chromatically. that it's more of an effect than than something musical. Um, let's see. Yeah, you can kind of get an idea about when you analyze these solos how he thought about how people would think about solos back then. Um, Today, I think the way a lot of people are taught how to play melodies and whatnot are they're everyone learns, you know, right? So that's something like that. Walk, don't run. You are they play it down here in the first position, but I think it's natural to kind of play it up here, but that's not the way they did it. If you watch the Ventures play it, it's down here. And you can hear it ring out, especially towards the end where it goes. So at least that's what I've noticed is that people back then would play the open scales, you know, scale based around the chord here. But everybody learns this major scale pattern and then they just move it around the neck. And then, of course, everything is that instead of, you know, and it's just so much easier to play open in first position than it is to try to, fret every single note, you know, you got a couple of notes there that are open, makes it a lot easier. Uh, oh, that was something. When I'm talking about the rhythm in something like 20 Flight Rock or any rockabilly tune that has that, I've been in some bands where like are you playing this or just or that Johnny Burnett thing? It doesn't really matter. Whatever you want to play, unless you're trying to create a specific effect where you're doubling the bass exactly. No matter what note you end up falling on, the bass is for the most part always going to play 1 3 5 1 3 5 6 flat 7 and back down again. And it's an octave apart anyway. It's at least an octave apart, sometimes 2 octaves apart, so it doesn't really matter. Uh, but and even if you are playing different notes, it's just they're harmonized with each other. At no point in the pattern were you ever going to play like a note right next to each other, because it doesn't even every single note in that scale. It's just a triad that you're playing, so they're all going to harmonize with each other and in the same chord. So um, you typically though when you're going, you play the flat seventh when you're just about ready to change over to the next chord. So however you want to start it, and then right before we're going to the four, and that's when you would throw that in. But you could throw it in the hall every time, depending on what you want to do. I mean, that's kind of a honey don't, right? You know. Oh, that's honey don't. Something like that. I always like that. I love throwing that in. The baby blue eyes thing. So there was another question that someone had asked. about as was strings, like gauges of strings. I've always used, for the most part, tens. I did go through. I tried 11s because I heard I one of my first guitars was just a Squire Strat. It's actually hanging on the wall over here. But I changed the pickups out and I put the Stevie Ray Vaughan signature pickups in it. And I heard, oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan, he tunes down half step, so he's playing every. So if it's he's playing in E, but it's in E flat. So, but he plays 11s, so they're a thicker gauge, and they, if you played with 11s, they do create a lot more tension. But if you're tuning down a half step, it's not so bad. Now, Gretches from the factory, at least today, they come with tens factory. That's the gauge that they come with. If you put 11s on them, you can do that. You might have to file the nut and open up a little bit of space. Probably not. It's not that much of a difference, um, but it potentially could cause some wonkiness if you go back to tens. It really just depends on what you want. I've um, one thing you can do depending on the guitar. It'll depend on the pickup too. The orange guitar, um, yeah, the orange guitar sometimes on the lower end, the bass strings, they don't really pop as well live. At least sounds fine when I use it on the recording because I can control it a little bit. But live, it just I was playing it last night, and the strings just kind of die. The whole thing dies away. When I play it acoustically, it sounds great. Oh, the notes are sustaining. It plays wonderful. And then I get out there live, and it's just I hit a note and it just boop, gone. And so, what can to kind of combat that a bit? You could always mix and match your strings. They at Diodario, I believe, makes a set with just a heavier bass gauge. So I think and I think it's a 50 or a 47. I think it no, it's probably like a 50 or 52 gauge for the low E, which typically I think it's what 46. And I think I used to remember the gauge numbers, but the yeah, you could use a lower bass rate. It depends on the pickup. Some pickups are like this one. Forget it. This one, the bass just rings out, and the Phoenix too. That would the bass notes just they just wail. You do not need an extra heavy gauge string on these guitars, but this one, that one might benefit from that. I might actually do that myself for the next time I change the strings on that one. But it's it's I've never really used. I've used different brands. They're all kind of the same. I mean, I've had good luck with Diodarios. Uh, I've tried Ernie Ball. They're fine. They are a little slinkier, I guess, sort of. The thing with the Gretches compared to um, any other brand, there is a lot. There's much more tension, and I don't really know why. I think it's because of the Bigsby. The bending a string takes a little bit more effort with a Gretsch guitar, and with the Bigsby. So I've never really played a Gretsch guitar without one, like a except for the jazz one, but that doesn't count because it's got flat wounds on it. But like some of the duo jets that they don't have a Bigsby on them, or even some of the classic. I have played them, but I've only played the original, like the vintage ones, and those are not a real good way to base it off of. There's so many other problems with the vintage guitars that it's hard to get a good assessment of that. But yeah, you put the same gauge on a telly, easy, bends, plays like butter. Put it on a Gretsch, and there's a little you gotta work a little hard, but not bad. Not not too much harder. I would say I would say tens is what I would recommend. I mean, personally, it depends on the genre of music that you're playing and how you play. If you're a hard player and you really dig in, 11s probably would be better. It's gonna create more tension and less likely to pop out of the bridge part here. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Hello from how is it down there? It's rainy and cold up here. um, let's see. Yeah, I would say what was the somebody looked at what was the name of it? It was called I have it pulled up. String String Joy. I've honestly never heard of that brand, but I'm gonna look them up and see if it's try to maybe give them a try. Oh yeah, there's the other uh New York Steel D'Addario brands. That they're great. I mean, they sound fantastic. They're a little pricey though. They're I want to say 14, 15 bucks for a set. Um so but they last a lot longer too. Not as long as the elixirs, but I wouldn't recommend those at all. Those things just create gunk on your fingers and everything else. They do last longer, but they also to me, I don't know, to me they just don't really sound great. I just prefer the standard 10 nickel wound D'Addario strings. You can buy a box of them for like 35 bucks on Amazon. And that lasts me a good mm, depends, 6 months or so. I change my strings about every once a month. Like I said last time on the stream, just feel underneath, see if you're getting a kind of lift it up and see if you feel any divots. Oh, you're gonna feel some even after you play one gig, but if you feel on the top and if you feel any bumps there, it's time. It's time to change. And if you can visually see it, sometimes you get lucky and you can visually see somewhere where there's a little bit of a bump in the string. It's if that one doesn't break, that means if the whole set is the same age, something else is going to snap. Probably your E. Um, yeah, uh, those were the questions I'd had this week. Um, as far as addressing any guitar um, technical questions and anything like that. So, yeah, check out the 20 Flight Rock video. I know it's a pretty standard tune. I just want to, if you guys recommend a song to me, then I will do my best to try to put it in the mix. Like I said, I think the next one's going to be Rockabilly Boogie, oh, Rockbilly Boogie. That's the way it's listed on the record, and by the Johnny Burnett and the Rock and Roll Trio. And after that, I think I really want to try to get that history of series going with, well, I have the guitar beginning series that's coming soon. I'm working on those, but that's going to be a little bit because I'm going to record a bunch of them at once. So that's going to take a while to record it, edit it, you know, and then break it down. And if anybody happens to notice also slight change with this last video, I changed the frame rate of the video from 24 to 30 frames per second. And if anybody notices that, or I mean, you'll look for it now. But if anybody has a preference, do you like the 30? Should I go back to 24? I heard that 30 is the standard, and so I changed it. And I was using 24 because I thought, well, that's more of in line with the film, film style, and all of the footage that I usually grab, because it's older footage, is in 24. So I figured it would, sync up better with in my timeline when I'm editing these videos. But a lot of people said, hey, you should do 30. That's more of the YouTube standard. I don't really like. I can't do 60 because my DSLR camera that I record everything on is so old that it does not do 60 frames per second at 1080p. So I didn't. I That's not really an option for me at this point. But yeah, the I think after this, the Rockabilly Boogie, I'm going to do a history of series because I really enjoy um, getting the B-roll and creating the beginning parts of all the videos, and just you know jumping back and forth, creating the little edits, having the little film burn in effects, and create and having like the old TV effects and putting the video in that. It's fun, and to try to change it up a little bit on the channel to add a little different content besides just lessons all the time. I mean, that's why I'm doing the streaming thing, so I can interact with you guys and also just share random musical thoughts or whatever that we can chat about. Or if you guys have any questions, I can answer them in real time as opposed to making a video answering your questions. And yeah, that's kind of what the next plan is. I think the next lesson, I think I'll probably do Honey Don't by Carl Perkins. Um, and I might do a history. Right now I'm just focusing on history of gear, but I might do a history of an individual artist. It's just that it's kind of been done to death. Everyone's done, you know, the history of all of these artists at some point or another. And there's no harm in doing another one. But the one thing that, at least for me, when I'm watching a documentary about something, I kind of, especially a musician, I want to hear their songs. And you can't really do that because YouTube will it'll get copyright claimed more if you use an original sound recording, and probably copyright striked if you use the original recording. So even if I recreated the song, I suppose you could recreate the rhythm. The only thing you can copyright is the melody. So if you end up playing a melody, is the one thing you notice I don't sing or play the melody lines of these tunes when I'm doing the lesson. It's not really relevant because what we're talking about is the guitar part, not the singing part. But if you did that, even playing the melody, you can get copyright claim. Not that that's a bad thing. It just means that you don't. The video doesn't generate any income. Um, so, like most of the videos on there, except for the ones where I'm actually just playing songs, which you can do, is all of them are none of them are copyright claimed except for one, which is funny enough, "Summertime Blues," Eddie Cochran. So why is that one copyright claimed out of? I mean, I get why the older stuff where I played Mr. Sandman, Martha My Dear, and all of that. Why is that copyright claimed, but not um, not any of the other ones? Why is "Summertime Blues"? And I realized, oh, I threw in a random a solo closer to like what the Setzer does on his version, and that is the melody. So that's probably what triggered it. Um, and could have just been that. So who knows? Because that's very unique and specific to that tune. Um, yeah. So um, yeah, and the Mr. Sandman one too. That one didn't really get claimed either. I thought the lesson would, but I guess because I break it up, I found that if I break it up into sections, which I think is better anyway, because you don't want to play the whole song and then go back and then break it up. You want to just learn this part, then this part, then this part, then this part. That's the way I would like to learn a song. So that's how I structure the videos. It's just based on how I would like to learn it. Another one too, the Chet Atkins that I thought maybe might be interesting, is "Oh by Jingo." It's been a while. Something like that. I'll have to revisit that. Uh, all right. Well, let's see. We've been going for about 40 minutes or so. So I think next time what I want to do is try to get a backing track going. And just kind of jam out over that for a little bit and talk about some, you know, solos and improvisation techniques and things that the way I think about it when I'm approaching a um, different keys, different feels, different grooves. Because every time you go into a different, even if it's the same chord progression, you go into a different groove, you think about it differently. And of course, chord progressions, you're going to think about it differently, and keys, you're going to think about things differently. Um, and how you'll just randomly will go from playing notes that you're coming up with on the spot to jumping into some sort of lick that you know you've rehearsed this lick, so you know I'm about to go into the four, so I can and throw that in, and then start going into making stuff up again. Whatever you want to do in between that, and at least I think that's the way other people kind of approach it. They have a bag of tricks they can pull from, and then they're always trying something new, and then you might add some more things, and it's always good to every time I do it, and I say do this, and I should do it more often, is play to a backing track, play to create your own, and if there's something that you guys might like, I can create backing tracks and either upload them to the channel or post them on the website like I do with the tablature, and you can go and download the MP3 or WAV or whatever you guys would like it to be. Probably MP3 just to save space, and just it would just be a drum beat, round and round and round with a bass line, and you can just practice to that. And that's kind of, and you it helps you come up with new riffs, and that might spark an idea for a song if anybody out there is a songwriter. All right, well, I think that'll do it for today. I'm gonna call it, and I hope you guys again enjoy the videos, and you guys enjoy the live stream. I'm gonna do this every week, Saturday, 4 o'clock. Um, and I'll try to also uh, add in if I release the videos earlier in the week, I'll add a live stream like right after the video, just like I did today. But this stream was already planned, and I just happened to get the video done. I'm like, oh, I might as well put it up. So that would be stupendous. The backing tracks. Oh, okay, all right. I can do that. If Do you think it would be better to just post them onto YouTube, or do you think I'd rather put them on the personally, I'd rather put them on the website than put them on the. It would be free. I'm not gonna. There's no charge for this, but because if I put them on the channel, it's just going to look like a bunch of it's gonna crowd the list of videos. But yeah, I can just put them on the website. You just go there and click on the link and download. I think you can. I know you can put PDFs, so I don't see why you couldn't put MP3s. But I can create uh, a bunch of different feels from. I guess we can do. I mean, different keys for sure. So we could do a two beat, then do a um, you know, swing, straight rock, rumba, and do a different couple different progressions. Oh, some Danny Gatton licks. Um, oh, a video on Danny Gatton licks. You mean? Do some of my favorites. Easy, but do it up here too. A lot of pull off stuff. Good to do that over E, A, whatever. Very similar to kind of country, just pull off stuff. Just doing double stop. You know, or I can't hear the guitar here. At least I can't hear what it sounds like to you guys. Something like that. Um, yes, a video on it. Okay, sure. Yeah, I can do that. I can go over some Danny Gatton type licks. Because there's a lot of you have the I can use my telly for that one. The yeah, one of the tricks I know he used is that he had the I want to say he reversed the tone and the volume for his telly. So he would get that almost sounds like a wah pedal when he was picking and pulling the volume pot. He would meticulously get a specific pot that would have a gradual um, shift from one tone to the other. Because some pots it's 0 to 10, barely barely turn it. Um, at least for tone pots. Mine, of course, is arranged in the traditional way. But yeah, the Telecaster is it's got a Bigsby on it. I do have it. I haven't used it in any of the main videos, but I did use it in one of the shorts that I did. It was a solo of for Buddy Holly, Blue Days, Black Nights. I just did that. No, that's where the bass line's coming in. Yeah, that thing. Um, yeah, I used a Telecaster for that one. Yeah, I can totally do that. That'd be a great idea. I'll make a note of that. And did he play with? Smooth. Yeah, how did he play with a wet towel on his hand? I have no idea. I have no idea. Did that? Oh, that is that just the wristband, or was that like an actual wet towel? I'm not really sure. Um, the I'll have to take a look and see again exactly what you're talking about there. But it's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen any Danny Gatton stuff. But the I know he would play with the beer bottle thing. He would have the beer like half full and beer sloshing all over the place, and he's playing slide. He was incredible. Um, but yeah, I definitely will do Danny Gatton. He definitely doesn't get enough credit. All right. Let's see. Yeah, we can talk about. Oh, that's another video I wanted to do. Was I did one on jazz chords, substitutions, and chord melody and stuff like that. But the next one I want to do is voice leading, and that's about how you. It was an Austin City Limits show. Is that the one where he did um, um, Funky Mama? That's a. I'm not really sure, but where you had the horn section and everything. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that and do some research on that. Might even do a background like on Danny Gatton too. There's a little bit about him, but not as much as there could be. Yeah, sure. Send me a link. Yes, Danny Gatton, and then that's always a good idea. Just videos in general of different artists with their favorite with their links or link with links with their licks and riffs. Um, they all have unique ones, especially Danny Gatton. Yeah, it'll be fun to bring the Telecaster out. I've always played Gretches for the most part. I did start with a Strat, like I said, but then I got it was acoustics. I had a Gibson for a little while. I had a BB King Lucille, and then I had an old Tennessean, 74 Tennessean. That was a disaster. Uh, and eventually got the orange one, and ever since then, I guess because I started playing with a classical guitar, and it has a baseball bat for a neck. But I think it's good to start that way for a couple of reasons because you've got plenty of space to really see in between where the strings and the notes. No, take over. It's totally fine. You can chat as much as you want or as little as you want as you. Um, I appreciate it though. Yes, if you yeah, I think if you're starting out, classical guitar is good. I don't have one anymore. I used to have one, but there's just more of a gap in between the strings, and you can visually when you're first getting started to be able to really see where your the fingers are being placed, and it helps you stretch a little bit more. So because you have to reach a little bit more, and the strings are softer; they're nylon, so it's easy to play. I mean, electric is always an option, but um, again, that there's it's still harder to play, and most electric necks. This one's actually fairly wide, considering some electrics are even more narrow than this. And if you've never really held a guitar and played with one before, it can be a little tough to see like where the strings are, and you're always doing this and like put it here and do it and trying to get it spaced right. So I didn't stay on it for long. It was about maybe a month, um, and then I flipped to. I think yeah, I then went right to the electric, and eventually I did get an acoustic, not knowing anything about it. Thinking back on that guitar, which I didn't know what happened to it. I don't know if it got destroyed or it was a Hohner acoustic. It wasn't a Hofner or any known brand. It was like a $99 or something. Um, Fingerstyle blues, yeah, that's a that's a great way to start. Um, I'm not as just being able to anything that's comfortable for you. If fingerstyle is more comfortable, playing with your fingers, playing with a pick, thumb pick's probably not the go-to thing you're gonna do, but um, anything that's comfortable to get started because it's it's both here and here. You can always go back and fix problems that you do. Some people say, "Oh, you don't want to get in a bad habit of doing this and that." It's like, yeah, but you can always fix it. And the more you learn how to play, the easier it is to go back and correct yourself. Like I've mentioned this several times before how I used to play like this. My thumb would always be up here or whatever, and I would always play with just my three fingers and really wouldn't use my little finger at all. And then I realized if I want to play some of these licks like that, I have to change the way I play and put my thumb under here. And really, what you're doing with licks like that is you're hard to say, hard to show, but your thumb is gliding down with you and gliding back up, so it's moving. It's not just in one place. You know. Yeah, thumb picks are tough. They are. I can see why you don't like them. I don't. I didn't like them either. They fight you every step of the way, and it's just it took me a good, and I already knew how to play all of this other stuff. It was just a couple of years. Well, I'm not thinking about time. I started doing this about using a thumb pick in 2014. And I thought back, like, oh my god, that was 10 years ago. So it took me a good um, year or more to really get comfortable with these thumb picks, and they still can can be a little clunky sometimes because you're completely relearning how to how to attack the guitar, you know. And with the rockabilly stuff, you don't really need a thumb pick anyway because you're not playing exact notes. You're just droning with your thumb, or you can pick like that. Yeah, I typically, unless I'm playing a specific song, I got used to playing all the stuff without a thumb pick, either with just my fingers or or doing the tucking the pickup thing. Unless I'm playing a specific thing like Mr. Sandman or Oh by Jingo or Cannonball Rag or some sort of thing that really needs that. And the only reason why there was a reason why I need if I play it without, you can do it. It's You don't have to have the thumb pick. It's just nice for certain parts. Like Cannonball Rag is a good example because in the middle of it, after you're not doing the finger part the finger picking anymore, right? You're doing that. You're doing all that. Then you want to go into a solo. If you don't have a pick in your hand, then you can't really, you know, it's hard to just grab the pick and go into a solo unless you're doing this where you're tucking it up. But then it's tough to get some of that. You got to use these two fingers as opposed to these two, which can be a little awkward. Oh, it's whatever you get used to, really. I mean, I've seen some people on YouTube that are playing guitar like a bass, with all their fingers are like this, or playing chords, and tapping the it's crazy, crazy what people are doing these days. Um, I know that with the this type of thing where they're tapping the every note, the fingerboard really has to be flat to really get a good. It's tough to get to go back and to relearn it. You just have to like say, I'm gonna learn this, and you just take a little bit at a time, and you measure at a time, half a measure at a time, even, and you just slowly learn the patterns. And if you're trying to use a thumb pick, I would definitely recommend just Travis style picking. Just start with that and get used to it. Get used to having it, and just till until you can pick it up and oh, this is comfortable now. And it might take a couple months before that actually starts to happen. But and then you learn another like a Chet Atkins tune or something. I'd recommend either Mr. Sandman's a little tough, but I'd say Stanley Jordan. Yeah, I recommend. Oh, by Jingo is a good one. Just looking at him up here. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I've seen him before. Yeah, yeah, it's insane. It's yeah, it's like I said, all different styles, all different ways of playing. Um, there's no wrong way. I mean, Jeff Beck didn't play with a pick. You know, he was just playing with his fingers. Uh, yeah, I just started with the pick because that's what I was told. Oh, that's what you do, and then you, I got used to it. And when you're playing rockabilly and that sort of stuff, I before I got into rockabilly, I was playing acoustic and electric acoustic, strats, and then acoustic guitar. And like I had a cheap guitar. I'm glad I did at in a way because that guitar, knowing what I know now about how guitars work and how they're set up, it was set up really poor. The action on the nut was super high. I couldn't quite get it, but it built strength up in my hand as a result of that. So it's good to flip around to different, especially when you're starting different kind of guitar necks. I think Wes Montgomery. Yep. I'm really bad with names, but is that who I'm thinking of? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Great stuff. I wish I had one of those. One of those guitars. Like a 100. Yeah, playing with a thumb. Yeah, didn't use a pick. Yeah. I mean, even when I play, if I'm playing jazz stuff or playing jazz chords live, I'll tuck the pick up and play with my thumb. Do something like that. And it's nice too because that you kind of get that almost Freddie Green kind of uh, chopping wood sound, but you'll it quiets the guitar down without having to adjust the volume knob. And then if you're singing, it brings the dynamic of the band down and changes it a bit. So there are ways to kind of you can also palm mute, do something like that, but that creates that rock. If you're playing with delay, which I do pretty much on everything, it creates a click like a swirling delay sound in the back. which is cool sometimes. But sometimes you just want that, you know, you know, jazz sound. You know. That's fun. Yeah, I would definitely like a Super 400. I want to say those things are 12 grand, even the new ones. Do you think it's possible to walk out of Guitar Center with a hot rod under my coat? Um, probably not, unless they're 8, 7 feet tall, maybe. Um, do they even have? They don't even have those. Well, not by me. The Guitar Centers by me don't even have anything. They used to have. Um, they have a couple of vintage things that are a mess, but for me, the Guitar Centers around here, they don't have any high end anything. Gibsons, Gretches, Fenders. It's all low end stuff. Um, yeah. Plus, I would never. And of course, I don't condone it, obviously, anyway. But I know you're just joking. The I wouldn't honestly with Guitar Center. If you're ever thinking of buying a guitar, be careful. I I've been or any music store, but particularly Guitar Center. Not that I trying to bash anybody, but it depends on the branch. It depends on who's working there and that sort of thing. But what I've noticed is you really need to check them. Even the high end models, make sure you really know what you're looking for when you're looking down the neck. Make sure it's straight. Make sure it's not bowed and warped because those guitars have been hanging up there for God knows how long. And the they'll twist and they'll turn and they're just I mean I have them hanging, but I have a humidifier thing down here, and some Guitar Center locations are really good. Some are not so good. Usually, independent music stores, you're better off. Maybe you pay a little bit more, maybe not. I've always had good luck with Sweetwater or ordering on Reverb even from individual places. I got this one from on Reverb. This was I wanted it for a while, and then I saw that they discontinued this model, and they started making the newer hot rods, and they changed it a bit where they stopped using the ebony fingerboard and they started using rosewood. Rosewood's fine, and Gretsch does a really good job of sourcing good quality, dense rosewood. But I just really like the ebony, and so I noticed they stopped making them. I said I got to jump on this now, and I was gonna get them from Sweetwater, and they sold out. Done. I couldn't get it anymore. I had it on my saved wish list forever, and then they just gone. So I found it on Reverb. I found this one on Reverb at brand new at a store out in Canada. I want to say it was Toronto, and they shipped it. And it took a little bit of it was a little bit of a delay because of customs, but for the most part, yeah, it was great. Came in good condition, excellent. Uh, yeah, I would too. I'd rather shop and support local music stores. They rarely have Gretches, and I understand because they're expensive to keep in stock if no one's going to buy them. But if they can order them, always ask, can you order something? And usually they can. If they, have, I mean, everyone's got to have a Fender, uh, be a distributor for Fender. So if they can get that, they can get the Gretches. Didn't used to be the case. Used to be you'd have to find someone who was a Gretsch distributor, which good luck back then. Back even before they took over distribution. So, but today they're pretty much everywhere. But I mean, if I did have to order, I did order the Phoenix I got from Guitar Center. But I had it ordered. I didn't buy it there. It was brand new at the time. The model had only been out maybe a year, and I was itching for a new Gretsch, something that I could rely on. I wanted to sell my Tennessean because I wasn't happy with it, and wanted something that was new that I could use as a not as a backup, but in case something happened live. I was playing a lot back then. I was actually kind of semi touring around the southeast, and I wanted a second, something string breaks on stage or whatever. You're gonna you don't want to stop the whole show just to change a string, so you just pick up the other guitar, and I gotta get something. I don't just want another, you know, 6120. I want something a little bit different. I was looking at the Falcons. Maybe I get a white Falcon. I was like, no, because they have hard. It was hard to find it. At least then, they all have roller bridges, or they got a zero fret, or they have something weird, or it's gold hardware all everywhere. It's fine if the pickups are gold hardware, but if the Bigsby's gold, you're grabbing it all the time, and you know what happens with gold hardware? It turns green and rubs off, and so I just personally like the look of the chrome Bigsby's more than the gold ones. Um, but yeah, the Phoenix was a great buy, and everybody says like that's the one, that's their favorite. When I did the Gretsch comparison video, that's what everyone says is the best sounding one. They're all very similar, but yeah, I was playing it last night. I was like, yeah, this is a really good sounding guitar. Um, yeah, definitely going to do a video on with that Space Echo back there and compare the Nocturne Mystery Brain to the actual Space Echo. But I need to get a part for it. I've been trying to get it. It's just a little spring pad that goes in there that keeps the tape against the roller. And if it's too tight, you'll just get a the tape will start to drag and it doesn't sound good. And if it's too loose, what'll happen is the tape will start to flop, and then it'll come away from the tape head, and then all of a sudden you're playing, and then the delay just dies, gone in the middle of a note, or if you're ringing out a note, boom, it just cuts right off. So you have to have everything has to be tweaked just right for it to work properly. And they say that you should change those little springs every 300 hours, which is about the time you change the tape. So every time you change the tape, it's about a year, 2 years, depending on how much you use it. And I can see the old. I mean, it looks like the old pad is one of the originals, and it's got tape gunk on it. And I'm like, yeah, it's time to change it. Um, if anybody out there has actual tape delays, that you can get them on echofix.com. Uh, they're out of Australia, I think. And a little shipping, unfortunately, kills you, but a little bit. But you get the parts right. I tried to order some stuff from eBay and get it from somewhere else to save a little money, but it didn't come through right. And so those guys they know what they're doing. I would trust them for sure, or take it to someone you know if you know someone that works on that kind of stuff. All right, I think I answered all the questions that somebody asked. Um, yeah, if you guys happen to see this down the road or watch the watch any of the videos and you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and we can talk about it next time. And yeah, I'll do those backing tracks. That'll be relatively easy to do. Um, we can do basic keys. We'll do E, A, D, G, stuff like that. B flat. Um, and I'll try to do C, of course. And we'll do like a standard 1/4/5 progression with a shuffle, then do one maybe with a straight rock beat, then do one with a 2 beat, um, and just take popular progressions within the roots music genre and just make a bunch of different. It'll just be drums and bass. I won't put a acoustic on there because that might cause conflict, um, depending on anything. Just keep it really simple. And then you guys can just go on the website and I'll just put it right down below the charts where it'll say backing tracks, and you can just click on the link and download an MP3 and use it and put it in your computer or put it on your tablet or phone or whatever, and just uh, play it. I'll make it. Uh, it could be as long as you want, really. Probably, I'd say 10 minutes. To be honest, really. It sounds long, but when you get into it and you're really practicing and soloing, especially unless you have the ability to put it in like a DAW, like Pro Tools or something, and you can hit a loop button. I'm sure there are players on your phones and tablets that'll loop something, but there might be a slight little delay if I make it only 2 minutes. But if I keep it 5, maybe 10 minutes or whatever, I'll take that'll. Then you can just hit play and just you know have fun for a bit. All right, I will. And as far as tempo, too, yeah, tempo. I'll have to think about that, like what we want to do for tempos, because I can do MIDI, and then you can adjust the tempo. Um, what you can do is if you have, I don't know if it's on Android or not, but I know it's on iPhone. Is there's a, I'm sure if not, they have their own called Audipo is the name of the app that you can download, and you can adjust the speed of the MP3 or whatever the audio file, and you can get it up to twice as fast, which you probably never want to go that fast, but you could speed it up a little bit or slow it down, and it doesn't change the key, and it doesn't really sound. It sounds good. I don't think it compromises the quality. That way, if you wanted to slow it down a little bit and practice soloing a little slower, I'll try to find a neutral tempo. That way, if you want to slow it down, you can play it or speed it up a little bit. And, go from there. Alrighty. Well, yeah, we've been going for a little over an hour now, so I appreciate you hanging out and everybody for liking the channel and all the subscribers and you know definitely thank you guys so much for subscribing to the channel and helping it grow. Again, any sharing the videos, liking the videos, subscribing, commenting, all of that stuff helps. Is the best thing you can do to help the channel. It helps it grow. It helps it go in the algorithm. YouTube just considers that engagement, and then that recommends it to more people who might be interested in something else like this. So until next time, I will see you guys next Saturday and be working on the next video. Until then, I will see you guys next time and have a good one. Hi, Wit. That's why I didn't click off right away, just in case somebody else came in. How are you doing this fine Saturday? Glad to hear you good. Well, I was about to sign off. I'm glad you could join the stream here at the last minute. But yeah, I am gonna take off here, and I will see you guys next time. I I don't. I'm not sure what that is. FGX 800C. Teach you please what? What do you want to? What do you want to know? Here's a fun one. I'm not sure what exactly an FGX 800C is. Am I just reading that wrong? All right. Well, anyway. Oh, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not, funny enough, I actually did learn a couple of Red Hot Chili Peppers tunes when I was playing in some other cover bands. I forget what the name of the tune was. Suck My Kiss, I think it was the tune. But not really in my wheelhouse. I mean, I can, oh, it's a beginner guitar. Okay. Um, it's more of a, do a little bit more root stuff, but as far as just beginners, uh, music in general, doesn't matter what genre you play. Um, you can learning the basic techniques applies to everything. And I'm definitely, like I said, I'm going to be doing that series soon. I'm just getting a bunch of them in a row. That way I can be consistent about making sure they're uploaded once a week. But I don't really do like live lessons, at least not at the moment. But I mean, we can think about that later on down the road to pick a a song if everybody wants to kind of go over that. Maybe something we can do. For this channel, it pretty much stick with like you know roots music kind of stuff. But the room, there's not really much to see. I mean, that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, the camera is fixed to the screen, so I can't really um, show that. But basically, what you see is everything in here. The only thing you're missing is there's a knockoff Hofner bass over here, a Telly, and a Strat, and yeah, that's it. Amp, very tiny space. Just enough space for me to do the videos. Oh yeah, there's plenty of different stuff like that. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Always my go-to like yeah. If I wish the camera was, I could move it around, but it's on a cable, and if I did that, I couldn't. It wouldn't. Might disconnect it. Anyway, I really appreciate again you guys coming out. So I'm going to just kind of jam out a little bit for a second, and then um, and then sign off. And we'll see you guys next time. Every Saturday, 4 o'clock, unless for some reason I have a gig early on Saturday, then might move it to Sunday. But for the most part, I'm going to try to keep this, at least this, consistent. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate that. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.